In my previous video, I torn down my neighbor's damaged fence. This weekend, I worked on stabilizing one leaning fence post and digging out the concrete stump. I took a piece of 2x4, attached to the half wall next to the post, fixed the other end to the leaning post so it will stand straight. I used my marker to mark the position of where the post should be held at, then drilled pilot holes and drove in 2 screws on each side. Now the post is held straight temporarily, I started to work on another piece of support on the lower portion of the post. Using another small 2x4, I held it against the half-tall fence post, used another straight edge to mark the angle that needs to be cut. The cut is almost perfect. Again, I drilled pilot holes and drove in more screws to secure it in place. Now, since there is another piece of support on the lower portion of the post, I can remove the top piece, make it look a little nicer. I first marked the 2 lines I need to cut to create a notch on the top plate of the half-tall fence, and used my circular saws to cut along the lines. The cut is almost perfect again, which rarely happens when I cut with my circular saw. I must be lucky today. Again, I drilled pilot holes and drove in more screws to secure it in place. Used my circular saw again, I trimmed the 2x4 flush with the top plate. The cut was not perfect this time, but looks good enough, and the post is not going anywhere. I went back to my backyard, found a fence post I removed years ago, savaged the cap, and hammered it onto the post, and headed home with my supervisor happily. The next day I brought more digging tools to dig around the concrete stump. I used a combination of tools and managed to expose some of the stump, but clearly not enough to remove it. I found another YouTube video showing a method of pulling the stump out of dirt with just 2 straps and a long piece of wood. I decided to give it a try. My wife also joined me to help me since I always made a mess when tying ropes or straps. This method uses 2 straps to tie a long piece of wood on top of the stump so you can create an upward pulling force. You can only see tiny movement on the stump. My supervisor clearly has his doubts about whether this will work. We adjusted the strap to let it wrap tighter around the wood, but the sharp edges of the concrete cut through the strap. Since it created some movement on the stump, we tied the strap together. Gave one more try. This time the strap did not break, but stump is not coming out either.
你看，我感觉那个。
Me and my wife took turns to dug more dirt around the stump, used a longer and stronger wood as lever, and tried again. And the strap broke again. At this point, I'd almost gave up, but my wife refused. She kept digging more dirt with the long bar and reconnected the straps a second time. Thanks to her persistence, the stump is finally moving.
真的起来了，好像起来了，真的起来了。不高哦！你把那个，你把4x4撤了，从这边上应该是。
We were very excited that it detached from the dirt, but the next problem came up. It's too heavy, we cannot pull it out of the hole. Looking at the two big trees behind, I came up with an idea. I brought some recovery gears that I carry in my Jeep, includes a tree saver that wrap around the trees behind us to create an anchor point, a towing strap rated for vehicle recovery, a hand winch, and 2 shackles connect these components together. After the first few cranking, I got nervous, fearing the cables or other components would break and hurt us. So I was winching very slow. Fortunately, the stump shows a little movement after each cranking, and eventually got pulled out. If I were to do it again, I would definitely leave this stump in the ground and dug another post hole next to it. But developing a plan with limited tools I had on hand that worked eventually feels so much better. Thanks to my wife's help and her refusal to giving up, we finally made it. We rolled the stump out of our way, blocked the hole with lumbers and warning signs, and headed home happily. In my next video, you will see me putting the new fence together, finishing the project. Please consider subscribing.